So as a beginner powerlifter, I'm just going to go over, what the things we need to do as beginner powerlifters to, get into the sport, really, because I feel like powerlifting is a very niche sport in terms of, popularity sometimes, because, here in the UK it's quite popular, but of course in other countries it's less popular. But essentially, you have your strongman, your bodybuilding, they're way more popular than a powerlifting meet, which, there's less information out there than, your bodybuilding, strongman kind of stuff. So essentially, for a powerlifter, you have to have squat, bench and deadlift. Now, in my opinion, you can compete whenever you want. It's not really, anything major. You could be the weakest person there, you still enjoy it. All good to you. But as a person who is very competitive himself, I like to, at least be competitive in some way. Now, do I have a clue I'll be competitive against any of these people? No. I'm so glad I didn't go up to 105 because, I'll be honest, 105 is quite stacked, as I've heard in the competition I'm going to. And I'm good because simply a guy who can squat 330 kilos shouldn't even be in one of these competitions. So, yeah. But yeah, simply put, powerlifting for beginners, you just need to bring up your squat, bench and deadlift. Now, if you wanted to be competitive, you gotta look up your weight class and what the desired total is for you to be a national champion. Now, for my weight class of 93, that is 675 kilos. Now, if what I'm doing is correct and I will be able to get the PRs that I have, essentially I'll be cruising around, I will be getting like 660, which is near enough. So I thought, I might as well compete. And, it will be my first competition. It'll kind of loosen me up to whether if I like it or if I don't. Because a lot of people, do one powerlifting meet and then go, fuck this shit. But, if you're wanting to, make it your career, I suppose. But essentially, I'm trying to, be the strongest I can be, be competitive in these fields, because I would like to, represent Britain as a person. But again, Britain is a shithole. But but anyway, essentially for beginners, you need to know your leverages. So this is the first pointer, which is leverages. Now, for a person like me, I have long femurs, hence why I squat like this. I squat with a wide stance because that is more comfortable for me, and I don't squat low bar because it's very uncomfortable for me and I don't feel any difference. So I just squat high bar because it's, it feels better for me. It's those little leverages that, enable you to, go a bit further. And yes, sumo is a deadlift. And if you want to go wide sumo, middle sumo, blah, 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 then you can do that. I'm not a sumo deadlifter myself. I am a conventional deadlifter just purely because of how it feels more comfortable and more supported than a sumo deadlift. But each to their own. Bench press, I am a very close grip bench presser, just purely because I feel stronger in that position than a wider position. And if you're a person who struggles with bench, you can go to a wider position because it lowers the range of motion. But each to their own. Yeah, again, it's very dependent on who you are and how you lift. Now we've gone over weights and, styles of, lifting the weight, you need the structure, because I'm in a bit of a weird structure right now where I've gone from a regular, 3 rep max kind of thing that I usually do, and now this is like a 6-week block, which usually that's like a 5 or a 4-week block. And it's kind of like, sometimes, I just have to structure it a bit differently, just purely because of the dates and stuff. And it's all about adapting your, schedule around those times. I mean, I train 5 times a week, and I find it very easy to do that. But, some people may train 4 times a week, 3 times, those kinds of like schedules and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like structure is definitely where people go wrong, just in general, of lifting and other sports, because they just don't have that structure to go forward, and they can't be asked making one. So, but if you want me to teach you on how to make a, program, then of course I can. Just let me know in the comments. But we've gone over weights, lifting style and structure. And that's basically all you really need. And of course, get to your weight class, of course. But I'm pretty excited for this, block and everything. Of course, the video is going to be quite, boring, let's say, because, I'm only doing probably less than 50% of what I'm actually capable of on my lifts. So, just enjoy me going over and chatting about my lift. But anyway, we'll get into the video. So starting off the deload with a 190 kilo single. This was pretty easy. Nothing really much to it. Just up and down, got depth anyway, knee above the hip crease, and moved on to 170, which felt like a breeze. So everything felt good. Definitely bracing my core more, just to reduce the chance of my back pulling yet again, which I'll be seeing the physio very soon about, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, squats are pretty good. I mean, if you heard what I've said in the talking segment, I have more of a wide stance, high bar, which is kind of like a bit of a weird weightlifting kind of squat, but it's just preference for me. But anyway, bench press, I did 105 for a single, and then did 100 for 5 reps, 2 sets. And then proceeded to do 100 on incline press for 5, I think. But yeah, these were pretty good in my opinion. Nothing too challenging really, because I am trying to push my incline press. It's just like I'm kind of stuck at 100 currently, so might have to go down, try and get more reps with 95 or something, but kind of stuck at like 5 to 6 reps on 100 incline press, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But you may see my ass come off the bench a bit. That's just because the bench, the seat itself is tiny, and it's not very stable, shall I say. So I kind of do lift my ass in the air when I'm doing like incline press. So I mean the seat's basically a tiny triangle. It's not an actual seat itself, so, and it can be very uncomfortable. So I'll use that as the excuse. But anyway, less of excuses. We're doing some cable flies. But yeah, doing some very heavy cable flies just to, stimulate the chest and everything. Because I do want a strong chest as well as, having hypertrophy in the chest. So I, have big old man tits, pecs, as it will. But the priority is not only to stimulate growth, but also to stimulate strength adaptations, which of course with bench press it's very vital that I have these so-called adaptations, because I'm trying to push myself, and sometimes you gotta go a bit heavier one day, go a bit lighter the next. It's just how you progressively overload, because usually on each side of these I'm doing like 25. This day I was doing like 27 throughout, and then when it came to the drop set I only dropped like 5 kilos, which it's quite a hefty drop set to finish off with, because I do drop sets so I finish off the muscle. And I found in my training, drop sets have been quite successful in hypertrophy training. But also they're pretty good in general when it comes to powerlifting as well, because in powerlifting you have 3 lifts. So essentially a 3 attempts at getting the maximum amount of weight possible, and you are pretty fatigued. So it's a bit of fatigue maxing, but yeah, it's not really that, but drop sets can help, or sets that like increase or something. I don't really know the term for it, but it's where you like increase the weight over time. But of course I'm going down here, so yeah. In reality, when it comes to like drop sets, it's more like a downward, progression. But anyway, shoulders, of course, need to keep them nice and spherical, because who doesn't like a bit of Death Star delts? But yeah, with shoulders, this is my only exercise. It's a cable lateral raise. I use D handles, because I feel like, if your grip's genuinely that bad, then you'd really need to work on it, because everyone likes to say, oh, but your grip gives out, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. If you have a grip problem, you need to be training forearms, stop being a fucking pussy. But, the simple fact is, I have enough grip in my hands to lateral raise until my shoulders give out. The same way with my lats. Like, I don't need, wrist straps to get more reps. I just, do the reps as I can. And very rarely does my grip give out before my back, because, I'm pushing it to failure and all that kind of stuff. And I use, lat pullovers to, add on to that where I don't really need grip. But, yeah, just a few key points. But anyway, doing some crossbody tricep extensions. These are just because the gym's a bit empty, and I thought, yeah, screw it. I'm gonna do some full double cable, even though there's 2 double cables, extensions. I do like this variation quite a lot, because it reduces time. But also, it feels pretty good. It's like when I'm doing a single arm extension, yeah, it's good. I'll admit, both of these I'd say are the same in terms of stimulation. But, this just takes less time, because of course I'm not, using one arm after the other. I'm using both arms at the same time. And,
that really does, you know, reduce the time I'm in the gym, because of course gym is essential for, you know, your physical and mental well-being, but you don't want to spend too long in the gym, because if you're anything like me, I've got, you know, work or something on the day and I'm like, I need to get home, or, you know, I've got something on, I need to get home kind of thing. So yeah, it's just how the cookie crumbles, really. But yeah, with triceps, I'm just you know, sticking to the extensions then push downs, because I think they're doing quite all right, you know, in terms of muscle stimulation. Because regardless of what I used to think, you know, I think skull crushers in terms of strength are good for like the starting bit, but with my bench press, it's not much a, you know, tricep issue. It's like a whole movement issue. So that's the reason why I kind of like gave up on, you know, trying to do skull crushers, as well as I didn't have my mates there to spot me, because the spot is very good when you're doing skull crushers, because I can go to failure, I can go past what I usually believe, and trust me, getting like 60 kilos up into a skull crusher position is very demanding and can take a lot of energy that would have gone into that set. So yeah, and we don't have a, you know, anything for a, you know, skull crusher machine thing. So but yeah, finished off with a drop set of tricep push downs, and then proceeded to pose down, because we need to track the progress, not only in strength but also physically, because, you know, of course I'm losing the weight and all that kind of stuff. I am getting down to 93 kilos. I am currently 94 cruising, and yeah, it's actually all right. You know, I'm not too shattered, I'm not too fatigued, but as you can see here, I'll get back to that point in a second, but the more important thing is deadlifts, because deadlifts have been so ass recently, and, you know, I was severely focused on form here. Like, I was so in my mind about the form here. So, like, not trying to hit, what is it? I can't remember what it was. It was like hitch. That's it. I was trying not to hitch, which I'm not too sure if I do at any point in this. But oh yeah, trying not to hitch when it does get hard is, you know, the main goal of this. So, like, of course I did 200, fine. But when it comes to like 170, I'm trying not to hitch as much, because hitching is a bad habit that can lead to, you know, back problems, which might be the reason why my back feels like shit. But essentially, I'm looking forward having my arms as straight as possible and using my legs more or less than I would do if I hitched. Like, you know, I think it just showed me slightly hitching there, but I think that's just due to my posture while deadlifting sometimes, that it can look like I'm hitching. But as long as the bar path doesn't, like, you know, allow me to shrug it up with my legs, then I think I'm okay. Which I wasn't shrugging up with my legs at all. It was just like gliding across my legs, which it was slightly bent at the time. But anyway, moving on to lat pull down. As I was saying, you know, grip with some people is a factor that can ruin gains and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we try our best not to you know, overdo it and everything in terms of, you know, allowing our forearms to become right shriveled and skinny and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, of course adding in drop sets because we are trying to still grow our lats. Meanwhile, getting them stronger progressively. I believe this day I did like 110 kilos, which I'm getting there on lat pull downs, which in future I might even just convert them to pull-ups because I'm kind of missing pull-ups. I used to do them a while ago, and yeah, I'm kind of missing them. And I really want a new stimulation, but yeah, might happen, might not. Yeah, again, it's all down to me really. But lat pullovers will not be exchanged for another exercise because lat pullovers like this, I believe, are better than the Dorian Yates lat pullover machine, because I've tried so many of those machines and they just don't work. Very few machines, I believe, in the upper body are actually essential, because you have cables that basically allow you to do whatever the hell you want. Meanwhile, a machine is like only limited to how you're built, so it's either too big or too small, is what I tend to find. And with leg equipment, I feel like it's more flexibility there, because with a pendulum squat, I've used a pendulum squat, they're pretty good. And I've used a leg press. They're a lot better in the lower body machines than there are in the upper body. I believe all these fancy pantsy machines are a bunch of rubbish and just a bunch of slop to basically get you into the gym and just go, oh, look at this, blah, blah, blah. But me personally, a lot of machines, I believe the vast majority, like we're talking probably 95% of them are rubbish, and you shouldn't bloody use them because they're so crap that they have no sense of what's going on. And that's upper body equipment. With lower body equipment, it's kind of like you have a lot of good pieces, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree that doing cable work like this, or like a T-bar row for your traps and stuff, I feel like is way better because you have that freedom of movement, and it allows it to adapt to your body instead of you trying to adapt to the machine. Because I used to use machines when I first started, so which you'll see on these curls, these are loads of machines here. I used to use that row machine that lad's on, and you know what? It's the worst thing ever. It's so shit. I can barely feel my traps on that thing, and it's just like a hunk of metal that doesn't really do much. So I'm just more of a cable guy and free weight, body weight kind of person, because it's just there's so much freedom here. With a cable, I have constant tension. I'm not limited by a pad or the height of the machine or anything like that. I am just simply putting resistance on my muscles so I get bigger, stronger, and fucking swallow, you get me. But yeah, but with this I decided, I don't know what happened, but I did 4 sets of cable curls, and then proceeded to go into some cable hammer curls, which of course I'm trying to build my forearms as well. So I just thought, because my biceps are all right at the moment, I can do some more forearm work in the meantime, which hammer curls do stimulate the bicep. It's just more, it also does your forearm and your brachialis, which goes into your forearm. But of course, I'm still trying to figure out how I grow my forearms in an effective way, because all the stuff I've done has basically done nothing other than make my forearms more toned. But I know, toning the muscle, bunch of rubbish, but yeah, it's not making them bigger, unfortunately. And you know, I've noticed strength, you know, in terms of my forearms, but yeah, again, I've not noticed much, you know, stimulation, as in like, you know, getting bigger. But I think that's because I've quite a long bone for, you know, my lower arm. I've like quite long, I don't know the bone, I can't name off the top of my head because it's not like one of those that I should know it. I'm like becoming a PT, but you know, I tend to forget stuff. But essentially, I have like quite long bones. Like I have long femurs, and it makes it hard to squat if I was to do a narrow squat. And kind of the opposite is here. So like I have quite long, I wouldn't say I have long arms, but like I have like very medium arms with very long, you know, tendons technically, because, you know, you get to judge how big your forearms are by like the tendon length. I have quite long tendons on my forearms, so, you know, it's just one of those things. But after this, of course, doing some wrist curls to build up the big bulky bit on the forearm. And yeah, that's basically this week, this week 6, I believe. You know, Finanza, Dunzo, and yeah. Well, of course, got next video coming, but I think that's going to come in the next few days. So yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
We could be